Are you kidding me?
I was in the very last row of Madison Square Garden. I mean, if I reached up, I could have grabbed the friggin' moon.
Still a great show, though, am I right?
Oh, it was great. I mean, Ian Anderson looked tiny from that high up, and he told a great story about Martin Barr that I'll tell you after the interview.
Oh, come on now. We got to hear the story now.
Well, he talked about Martin Barr being at a rather posh socialite party on the outskirts of London, and he managed to escort one of the young maidens up to the boudoir.
Aha.
And upon disrobing, Martin, being a rather short, portly fellow, possessed of a small bobo, the woman looked and said, "Whom, sir, do you expect to satisfy with that?" To which Martin replied, "Why, me, madam, of course."
Of course. Of course. Brilliant. Lou, you're the man. It's so exciting to talk to you. Lou Maresca, our guest. He is coming to town on Saturday night, May the 6th, 8 o'clock show, and it's all about reliving the Allman Brothers. Talk to me, because I've read a lot about what you're doing with the show, and you're really about an authentic performance. What does that mean to you, Lou?
Well, okay. I take heat from this all the time from people who have a negative view of a tribute band just regurgitating the music. And I have a completely different perspective. A cover band imitates the music of a band. A tribute band duplicates it.
Yeah.
And the best tribute bands in the world, in my opinion, and most people who are fans of the original artist, are those that when you go to see the show, you don't know that you're seeing a tribute band. In the words of people that have come to shows, if you closed your eyes, you would think it was the real thing. That to me is the essence of a tribute. And we were on Access Television's World's Greatest Tribute Bands with Katie Darrell, who's the host producer, and that was live from the Whiskey A Go Go in West Hollywood. She asked me the same question, and I gave her the same answer. And everybody kind of shook their heads knowingly. Yeah, okay.
Well, I think anybody that follows music, that loves music, and boy, there's a lot of people who do, they get it. They understand you're going through the motions, or you're trying to emote that vibe to your audience.
Exactly. When I put the band together, I said to everybody, we're not here to innovate. We're here to emulate.
Yeah.
And, in my band, in Live at the Fillmore, we have great musicians. These guys can play anything. And if I wanted to just cut them loose and let them go off on whatever tangent they wanted, they would destroy people. But that's not the purpose, and they understand that. There are occasions when everybody will get a little break and be able to do their thing. And you can just see the audience eats it up and goes crazy.
Sure.
But if we did that through the entire show, I think they would leave disappointed because they'd say, well, that didn't really sound like the Allman Brothers Band.
Yeah.
That's not what they would play.
Right, but see, here's the thing. I mean, the Allman Brothers, they're Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees back in 95, gold records, platinum records. Their list is long. So their first two albums really didn't catch a lot of people, but that Live at the Fillmore, there was something about that just jumped out and grabbed people. You're a student of the band. What's the difference? Why is that album so huge for so many people?
Well, first of all, it's the greatest live rock album of all time. People would argue that, but I think that's a legitimate statement, and many critics would agree. There's a couple that rank up there. Live at Leeds by The Who is another one.
Yeah.
Rockin' the Fillmore by Humble Pie. Frampton Comes Alive. But start to finish, At Fillmore East by the Allman Brothers Band is an almost flawless live performance.
Yeah.
And it's not completely authentic to what occurred, because Tom Dowd did take license and edit some of those songs. He did take some sections. The first night they had horns, and Tom Dowd said, "We got to get rid of the horns. They just don't work." Because they didn't. They just didn't work. In that setting. And the last two nights, it was a 3-night run. The last two nights, he composited some of the songs. You can't really tell unless you are a very, very astute listener.
Mm-hmm.
But there are places where he did edit some things.
I got you.
But that aside, it's a superb live performance. And the misnomer that a lot of people have that the Allman Brothers Band was a jam band, it really is not true. I think the live album is what it is because it was the culmination of a year or two of those songs being worked and reworked by the band. Even the solo sections, they really were not ad-lib solos. They weren't improvisational.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those solo sections. Now, I heard the band many, many times during that period. Sometimes a couple times a week, and those solos were, for the most part, orchestrated. They were worked out. They did not change drastically from night to night. And again, to go back to my take and my comments to the guys in Live at the Fillmore, I said we're going to treat this like a Beethoven score. And I worked with the Philadelphia Orchestra. I had a business in Philadelphia for years. We were a major supplier of professional sound and recording equipment,
Very
and
cool.
I put some systems together for them. And I got the chance to work with the orchestra and Riccardo Muti. And what I learned from that is it's not the day or the night of the performance that all the energy is spent on. It's the rehearsal where all the time is spent to get that final performance perfected.
Yeah, so it's the difference between a jam band and a band that jams. I mean, these guys know how to do it.
That's the Greg Allman quote. That's the Greg Allman quote. You must have read up on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a Greg Allman quote.
Right there.
And he likened them to the Grateful Dead, who I also worked with. And that's the difference. The Dead, you never knew what you were going to get when you went to a Dead show.
Yeah.
It depended on what drugs they were doing and how it affected them that night.
And react to the crowd and all that. Yeah. So
yeah, and I've been on stage with the Dead, so I can tell you firsthand.
Right there. So your average house, I mean, the Midland Theater, 1,200 seats, acoustically phenomenal. I expect a great crowd for you. So is this normally the kind of size of place that you play?
Well, for this show, we're in one to 2,000 plus seat theaters.
Gotcha.
with the triple bill.
Yeah.
With Bloodshot playing the music of the Jay Giles Band and Junior Mac opening up as Albert King, which was the lineup the last weekend at Fillmore East in June of '71.
Right.
So no, when Live at the Fillmore plays without support acts, we're more in anywhere from 350 to 1,000 cap venues. So this is a little larger than what would be normal for us in an indoor seated venue.
Yeah.
I mean, outdoors we've played in front of many thousands of people.
Sure.
But in an indoor seated venue, for us, I would say 350 to 1,000 plus is our typical range lately.
Well, I know you, as the band, are going to have a great experience because the Midland is one of those places you'll just fall in love with when you get here, and I know the audience is going to love it too. It's coming up a week from Saturday, May the 6th. Show at 8 o'clock. Should be great. Lou, so great to talk to you. Wish you nothing but success as you come to Newark and wherever the winds take you, my friend.
Likewise. I appreciate you having me on.
My pleasure.
Thanks again.
Great conversation. Thank you so much.